you told me. I was. All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to start the community development meeting for Monday, September 29th, 2025. This time, we do not have a quorum for roll call, but once we do, we'll get that done and approve the minutes for last meeting. But we'll start with the budget survey presentation by members of the. Well, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let Ms. Anita. You wanna call the agenda out? I'm
Sure.
gonna take your thunder.
Number 3, we have a budget survey presentation by the members of the Big Easy Budget Coalition.
Thank you.
She's in the back. Morning.
Morning. All right, so whenever you're ready, just have everyone introduce themselves, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, Committee Chair King and members of the committee. My name is Ashley Crawford, and I'm the Associate Director of Vera Institute of Justice in Louisiana. And I'm here today on behalf of the Big Easy Budget Coalition. The Big Easy Budget Coalition is a diverse network of more than 30 community-based organizations across New Orleans, working together to ensure that the city's budget reflects the needs and priorities of the people who live here. The coalition's mission is to advance budget equity, the just and fair allocation of government resources to create conditions for all New Orleanians to participate in and thrive. Each year, Vera Louisiana's research team conducts a survey to New Orleanians to understand their priorities for safety and city spending. The survey allows us to better understand the priorities that the residents have and how they experience safety in their neighborhoods and where they believe city dollars should be spent. This year, we heard from nearly 300 residents in every district of the city. And today, our research team will share with you the survey's findings and the results and give you some insights on what the residents believe is most important to them. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Kim Mosby and the rest of the research team.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I'm Dr. Kim Mosby. I'm the Associate Director of Research for the Vera Institute of Justice. And this year, our survey collection was different in that we had the opportunity to hire 4 people from the community to go out and do data collection with us. 2 of our community researchers are here today, and 2 had prior engagements and were unable to join us. But they were integral in not just collecting the data, but also analyzing the data to make sure that the interpretation of results really spoke to and with the people of the city about what their priorities are and what they mean when they give us a short phrase. I'll pass it on to my colleagues to do their introductions.
Good morning. My name is Deontay Norris. I'm a community researcher, a recent graduate of Xavier University of Louisiana, and I am from District B.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jakivia Wheeler, a District D resident, and I'm a senior research associate with the Vera Institute of Justice.
Good morning, my name is Sasha Smith. Can you hear me? Good morning, my name is Sasha Smith. I'm a community researcher in District D. My current title is Director of Client Services at the First 72 Plus.
Thank you. Today, we're going to tell you a little bit about the coalition. We'll talk about our survey design, recruitment, and demographics of who completed the survey before we move into our preliminary findings, and then we'll conclude with a discussion of those findings and the conclusion. You've heard about the Big Easy Budget Coalition, so we won't go too in-depth about who we are, but we wanted to give you an understanding of how many different organizations across the city have come together to advocate for the needs of our residents. We've also included the mission and vision statement for your reference. And now we'll move into survey design, recruitment, and demographics.
Our survey was designed online in English and Spanish. Data was collected between February and August 2025. Eligibility was Orleans residents 18 and older. We also posted flyers at community centers, libraries, coffee shops, and post offices. Passive recruitment was done through emails and texts and posted on social media. We also tabled at 20 events and meetings, which included community health fairs, a walkathon, a back-to-school giveaways, neighborhood block party, youth day NOLA, public meetings, and other events. The race and gender of our survey respondents were 47% of respondents identified as Black, 40% of respondents identified as white, and 7% of respondents identified as Latino. The gender of respondents were 63% identified as women, 29% identified as men, and 3% identified as non-binary. And on this slide is the age of survey respondents. The range included 18 through 81. The average was 43, and the median was 40. And this map breaks down the city council districts of survey respondents. The largest proportion of responses came from District D, which was 29%, followed by District B, which was 26%, and District C, which was 21%, and A at 15%, and E at 9%. And we want to make sure that it's known that it is not a representative sample. And in the East, we saw more youth attend events without adults, and we also saw an increase in teenagers who were under 18 trying to take the survey this year.
And now I'll pick up with some preliminary findings. When we talked to community members, we heard expansive definitions of safety, which include a sense of connectedness to one's community, knowing and trusting in one's neighbors, and believing that people are willing to help one another. Across the 6 prompts shown here, we found high agreement in that most people feel safe walking in their neighborhoods, even at night. Most people feel connected to their neighborhoods, know their neighbors, and feel that their neighbors are helpful and trust their neighbors. Next slide. To make it easier to compare these facets of safety, we created a safety index from the 6 prompts from the previous slide by ranking the residents' composite scores from their responses. For respondents overall, across all 5 districts, most residents report a medium or high perception of safety in their neighborhoods. Taking a closer look at individual districts, those we engaged from District E have the lowest proportion of respondents with a high safety index rating, and alternatively, the highest proportion of residents with a low safety index rating. Next slide. Thank you. Before responding to prompts about their perceptions of city spending, survey respondents were shown this image of the parent allocations across the 2025 total operating budget for New Orleans. The gold bars represent the investment priorities of the community from last year's survey results, as you see there. Next slide. This graph reflects the survey respondents' perceptions of city spending across several public resources and services, whether the perception is that the city spends too little, the perfect amount, or too much. Police and courts was the only category where more than half of respondents, 63%, perceive that the city invests too much, whereas 42 to 89% believe we spend too little on everything else, including other resources and services that community members cited as supporting their safety and thriving. Residents believe that criminal legal system resources should focus more on what they indicate as their top 3 priorities, which were prevention through early intervention, skills and employment training, and treatment programs. These are all non-punitive and restorative approaches to accountability and prevention of violence and crime. In response to open-ended prompts where respondents could put whatever they decided, they were asked to list their top 3 priorities for city investments. and more than half listed housing at 54%, which you see as number 1. More than half listed education, more than a third listed opportunities for youth, and more than 1/4 of respondents listed road and street repairs. This year, we had a tie for number 5, and that mental health services and programs and services for low-income families and individuals were each top priorities for just over 1 in 5 of the sample population.
So what does this all mean? Over the last 3 years, we found that Orleans Parish respondents perceive safety as both social connectedness and the programs and services that support a high quality of life, which agrees with the research conducted by the New Orleans Safety and Justice Challenge Community Advisory Group. This survey responses show that respondents perceive a high level of social connectedness in their neighborhoods, and the majority want increased investment in programs and services that support a high quality of life. Respondents want criminal legal system resources focused on prevention through early intervention, skills and employment training, and treatment programs, with police and courts as the only area where the majority perceive the city spends too much. Johns Hopkins Center for Gun Violence Solutions similarly found that people across the nation support policies that redirect criminal legal resources to social services and support funding for community and hospital-based gun violence prevention programs. These programs provide mentorship, conflict mediation, and resources to those most at risk of experiencing violence. In conclusion, this year's top priorities are safe, permanently affordable housing for all residents. We heard responses that specifically stated youth, elders, homeowners, and renters. Respondents also want quality education for all ages, in and out of traditional classrooms. They want support for youth opportunities, which includes activities, after-school programs, recreational spaces, as well as jobs and economic opportunities for our young people. They also want road and street repairs, accessible and affordable mental health services that are located in their neighborhoods and in their communities, and programs and services for low-income individuals and families. These are the factors that build safe, thriving communities. In conclusion, we would like to thank the community researchers this year and our interns who made this project possible. We also would like to thank the New Orleans residents who participated in our survey for reflecting on their lived experiences and sharing their needs and priorities for city investments toward a safer, more thriving community. And we also thank you all today, the Community Development Committee, for creating the time and space for us to come and share our results with you.
Thank you all for the presentation. Very informative. We are going to hear from, we have some comment cards. First is Ms. Nellie Katzen. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in the audience on this presentation? Mr. Burnside? Good. Let's fill the card out. Ms. Katzen?
Good morning, and thank you for hosting the Big Easy Budget Coalition this morning. Nellie Katzen, I'm the Executive Director of the Committee for a Better New Orleans and a proud member of the Big Easy Budget Coalition. CBNO, as most of you know, are real watchers of the budget. We've been working to bring budget analysis to the people annually since 2007. And have been helping people understand the dynamics of the budget and asking residents what they want to see with their tax dollars. The findings of our colleagues at Vera are consistent with the findings that we've seen since the storm. And yet, often, the budget does not largely reflect those priorities. I'm excited to have the opportunity to share this feedback from residents with you all, especially this year, since there was not an opportunity from the administration to share, for residents to share their priorities. And I look forward to working with you all, as we've worked with you over the last many years, to ensure that residents' values and needs are reflected in the way that their tax dollars are being spent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Katzen. Mr. Burnside? And Ms. Zucker, you'll be next.
Michael Eric Burnside, 2215 Felicity. So, an old man who's slightly bitter and in his decline has sort of negative things to say, but I hope there's a little bit of hope sort of there at the end. Angela Kinslaw has taught me many things over the years, starting with Gordon Plaza that I didn't necessarily want to learn. But she's a wise woman in dealing with reality. So if you don't know who she is, maybe you should talk to her. But we've got like $725 million in the general fund. And none of you were here for the revenue estimating conference where that was discussed. The budget changes always. The budget changes always. We pretend that there's a budget season. There's not. There's mid-year adjustments. There's budgeting for outcomes. There's different budgets. There's the capital budget. There's the operating budget. There's also a debt budget that nobody really knows about. If you're in competition for your goals, you don't just need to fight. You need to fight intelligently and with knowledge. You don't need to just convince people that your ideas are good and correct. You need to get in the weeds and talk to people about how things are done. The capital budget in particular changes all the time because FEMA planning sheets are turned in and out and all around. Some things can be debudgeted and rebudgeted in less than a month. So where money comes from and where it goes is a sophisticated game that, quite frankly, I'm not very good at. But if you really want your dreams and desires and those of the people you serve to be implemented by a complex bureaucratic structure, it is not enough to only tell your elected representatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burnside. Ms. Zucker?
Good morning. My name is Erica Zucker. I am the co-director of the Workplace Justice Project. We are a member of the Big Easy Budget Coalition, and I would just add a couple of things. One is that we really ask that you fund what the people of the city want and need, as expressed in the survey results and in the deal that we delivered to you on Friday. In particular, I'm going to speak about the funding of the Healthy Workplaces program in the Department of Health, which includes that program itself and funding for the healthcare access facilitated by 504 Health Net. I'm focusing on workers and workplace and healthy workplaces because that's where I focus my work. But the council and the people of the city have shown through both legislation and the Workers' Bill of Rights Charter Amendment that they believe very strongly in workers' rights and dignity, and we know that those contribute to the overall health and safety of our city. But rights and dignity can only be realized with full implementation of those policies, and that requires funding. And I just also like to add, with thanks to my colleague Nellie, that this is not a dissimilar situation to what we found ourselves in during COVID, where we had a funding shortage, but the council came together to fund what we needed to as a city and to sustain the people and to look for ways to make sure that we were doing the best for the people of the city. So I'd ask that you keep your focus on what the people of the city want and need. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zucker. Any online comments? Any comments from the dais? Councilmember Green?
Relative to budgeting concerns, no matter what we do in this budgeting cycle, I just want to be on the record as asking everyone to work with us to get the assistance of the state of Louisiana in making funding available to the city of New Orleans, direct appropriations. Let's talk about that. I know it's a little bit difficult, but that needs to be part of our equation too. Some of the things that we talk about, for example, funding the court system, funding maintenance along thoroughfares that are state thoroughfares, and balancing that against the fact that we get no revenues from the entities that the state owns, whether it be the port, whether it be City Park, of course we get sales taxes, whether it be the Superdome, of course we get sales taxes. But at the end of the day, the convention center, yes, of course we get a percentage of the sales taxes, but when it comes to collecting money, for example, for the leasing of facilities at the state-owned facilities, the state is cut out. The city is cut out. When it comes to cleaning up along Claiborne Avenue, the encampments and closing them, that's a state thoroughfare. The Chef Ventura Highway is a state thoroughfare. There are many things that we have to do in our city, and I know we want to focus on organizations that are doing good work in our city, but I'm asking for some help during this budget cycle and the next cycle of our Louisiana legislature. The state of Louisiana has a $50 billion budget. and Mr. Burnside talked about $735 million in operating for our city of New Orleans. There's something that has to give, and maybe the Big Easy Budget Coalition can be part of that change that has to happen on a state level. There has to be more sensitivity on a state level to the financial needs of our city, especially when our elected officials on a state level come to New Orleans and say that they want us to be like other cities. They want to compare us to different cities. Well, you know what those different cities are doing? Cities, right. But you know what's going on in those states? Those states are allowing the city to have separate policies that generate revenues and also allow them to do spending of state monies in a way that doesn't have the restrictions that we have here. So at the end of the day, I just want to ask us to include all of that in our budgeting considerations as we as a city move forward. The state of Louisiana has got to give more assistance, and they've got to take off of our plate some of the things that we do that are state responsibilities.
Thank you, Councilmember Green. Council President Morrell.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I appreciate your presentation like I do every year. I think it reflects kind of the messaging that we've tried to portray as a council, which is people need to be safe, not feel safe. And I say that because we live in a time period on a national level where we have federal actors who are trying to create problems that don't exist, to create fear in people and populations. And the thing which people really don't wrap their heads around is when you're reacting with fear to problems that don't exist, when you let fear push policy, it's what makes that one number, which is law enforcement, get larger and larger, though it may not net the dividends. Something that I want to note just for the public, and I know y'all already know it, Vera specifically already knows it, we have the exact same size police force, if not a smaller police force than when we started in 2022, and crime is down to a 50-year low. That is because this city and this council, with the help of the Big Easy Coalition, have invested in ancillary services to prevent people from going into criminality. That is where you reduce crime with opportunity. The council fund exists to fund opportunity, because when you have organizations that are reaching out and dealing with kids, dealing with young people where they are, the last thing a kid wants to do is jiggle a door handle at 2 a.m. and possibly get shot. That is not where they want to be. But if you provide no opportunity, no alternatives, that's where they may be. And working with the Big Easy Coalition, diversifying things like the mobile health, the mobile health crisis unit, all those things that we've done working with you, that is why crime is down, because the police department isn't any bigger. And as we're framing and setting up this year's budget, we need to keep those lessons at hand. We need to not be driven by fear. We need to be driven by results and data, and continue to craft budgets that are for the whole city and that lift everyone up, and they aren't reactions to what's going on at the national level. Because I think across this country, what you're going to see over the next budget season at the state level and local level across the country is people reacting to the fear mongering at the federal level, and we can't do that. So thank you for being here. Thank you for presentation. Thank you for echoing the sentiment that this council has seen for the last couple of years.
Thank you, President Morrell. Again, I want to thank Vera. I want to thank all the members of the Budget Coalition for getting this information to us and giving us what the residents of the city are telling you. So we definitely appreciate it. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Ms. Anita, can we have a quick roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember King.
Here.
Councilmember Moreno.
Present.
Councilmember Morrell. Here. Councilmember Jeruso. Councilmember Harris. Here. We have 4 members. We have a quorum. Let the record reflect that Councilmember Green's in attendance.
All right, at this time, make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 18th. Second by Councilmember Moreno. All in favor? All right, thank you. Next, we have someone from Public Works and Sewage and Water Board to talk about streets in District C or in the city. CAO's office? No? All right, we'll skip that. We're going to go to number 5, a presentation from NOCA concerning the pedestrian crosswalks for the students and the faculty and staff. question. And everyone.
morning.
Oh, there you go. Just introduce everyone to us and get started. The floor is yours.
Thanks. Good morning, Committee Chairman King and council members. I'm Gary Solomon. I serve as the board chair at NOCA, and I'm joined today by NOCA President and CEO Silas Cooper and our architect and consultant Jack Sawyer from SU Dumas Ripple. As many of you know, NOCA is Louisiana's arts conservatory. We serve hundreds of young people every day. Our campus is split across Charter Street, which means there's hundreds of students and faculty that must cross the street multiple times throughout the school day, which for us creates a real safety concern, and we want to make sure we're doing everything possible to protect our students and our staff. So far, we've worked with our partners in the state legislature to secure funding for a study that will evaluate all the possible long-term solutions, from traffic calming to more complex options like a pedestrian bridge. That study is going to guide us into the best long-term plan, and we'll then pursue additional funding to implement it. Our goal today is simply to make the council aware of the issue, so that as we move forward, we're able to access both short-term and long-term support from city departments. We know coordination with Public Works, NOPD, and other city departments is going to be essential in both the near-term and the permanent solution. We're deeply grateful to Committee Chair King, who visited the site with us, saw the issue firsthand, and connected us both to DPW and NOPD already to start some conversations. We're meeting on site tomorrow with DPW, and we believe a meeting with NOPD is being set as well. Look, at the heart of the effort, it's really one simple goal: to make sure that not a single child or faculty member is ever harmed by a distracted driver or reckless driver. We're really grateful for your attention to the matter and for your partnership protecting our students. And with that context in mind, I'd like to turn it over to NOCA's CEO and President, Silas Cooper, who can share a little more about how the issue impacts our students and faculty on a daily basis.
Good morning. I'm Silas Cooper. I'm the President and CEO at NOCA, and I want to thank you all for your time. You can see on our detailed handouts, this is a challenge for us that takes place throughout the day. Our campus sits on either side of Charter Street. The lakeside houses both our academic classrooms and our culinary arts program and some of our media arts. The Riverside has our main campus, all of our arts disciplines, as well as courses for PE and foreign language, our nurse, and our counselors. Our parking lot is also on the Riverside, and between our parking lot and our main offices and main classrooms is a railroad track. So those challenges go on throughout the day. In the morning, students that are getting there for full academic instruction have to park on the Riverside, cross the railroad track, and then cross the street. At that time, we use Department of Public Safety officers who are really contracted with us through the state in order to provide security for our buildings. They volunteer to do traffic work at the main crossing times. When they're doing that, the campus is more vulnerable because we don't have security. They're out in the middle of the street. Because of the railroad tracks, Charters is always having folks speed through it and breaking the law because they're trying to beat the train rather. Also, if you're not familiar with that area, the commercial use down there prefers to use Charters versus St. Claude because there are no stoplights. So the speeding takes place throughout the day. Our students go back and forth, not just at the main crossings in the morning, at lunch, and in the afternoon, but during the day for other services. And they're not supervised at all at that point. We cannot pull DPS to stand out on the street for each individual crossing. You'll see an illustration of a student being hit by a bike 2 years ago by one of the blue bikes. And it's only through good fortune that we haven't had more incidents over time, and we're concerned that it is a matter of time before we do. I'm more than happy to answer questions. And if you look on the second page of our handout, you can see specifics of examples of when we have crossings during the day.
I'm Jack Sawyer with SU Dumas Ripple Architects. Wanted to mention also some of the things we would like to study. I'm going to flip to the third page in the attachment here. The ideas we've had so far are, as Gary mentioned, some traffic calming strategies, i.e. curbs, speed tables, speed bumps, etc. on Charters. A separate idea for street closure devices, something like a gate arm or bollards that go up and down. The idea of actually closing traffic on charters for periods of time when crossing is critical. And then a third idea for a pedestrian bridge over top of charters. And interested to hear the city's feedback on any of those as we start to dive into the study.
Thank you. Thank you. We have any more presentations? Okay. All right. We have a couple of comment cards from Mr. Burnside. That's the only comment card on this particular topic, Mr. Burnside.
Michael Eric Burnside, 2215 Felicity. So my brain can no longer be trusted, but way back in the day, maybe the previous city council, Joe Giarrusso sponsored a pedestrian bridge for one of the Catholic schools, which may or may not have been Jesuit. It's over there, sort of near South Carrollton, maybe. And I walked through that neighborhood in the old days because I used to have a friend over there and go visit him a couple times a month or something. And it looks like a pretty nice bridge, quite frankly. There was a big deal about it, and a lot of the neighborhoods were unhappy and worried about not just its looks, but its lowness and all these kind of complex things. But from my point of view, I think a pedestrian bridge would be a significantly serious improvement over the other two options that you're describing, because that particular street is, as you say, used by many people. And if you decide to put cross arms or bollards or other things up, you're going to find you've made neighborhood individual human beings who've lived there all their lives unhappy. So I don't know how you're going to fundraise. I don't understand all that. And of course, the city's not in a position really in the coming year to kick you back a lot of money. But I would give very serious consideration to the pedestrian bridge and really try to make that work, because otherwise I would suggest you go to the community groups that live near you and have already shot down a hotel and done other things and see what their feedback to you is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Burnside. Council President Morrell.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all bringing the study today. I see this every day when I pick up my daughter, so I know very much to your point. There are a tremendous amount of kids who have to cross the street. And I agree with Mr. Burnside. The problem is this location is directly next to the train tracks, which means, to Mr. Burnside's point, if you put a speed table there, the residents will murder you, because they have to already, there's essentially a speed table at the train tracks followed by a second speed table. And as far as the street closure devices, I have seen many a car at the Capitol hoisted up into the air with those when there's a malfunction. So I do think a pedestrian bridge is probably your best bet. It's already an area where most of the sight lines are already obstructed from the NOCA building, so it's not going to add any additional kind of negative impact, because if someone's vision of the levee somehow is over the levee, they're not already obstructed by the NOCA buildings. I think that's probably your best bet, and I would certainly encourage you to talk to the legislature, because when push comes to shove, when it comes to the School of Math and Science and NOCA, these are state facilities, and once you get your study done, I would not be surprised if the legislature would be able to find the money to help significantly offset this with the match. So I think the study's a great first step, but I agree with Mr. Burnside. That is a street that sees tremendous traffic, which is why those poor DPS officers are out there like aggressively directing traffic, because if those officers were not there, kids would be getting hit every day after school. So this is a great idea, and anything the council can do to help, especially interacting with legislators should the pedestrian bridge be selected, please let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Anita, any online comments? No. Well, I want to thank Mr. Solomon for bringing this to our attention, going out there, seeing the car speeding firsthand, even with the officer in plain sight. They don't even, I'm not sure they don't respect the officer, they just don't realize it until they get too close and they try to slam on the brakes, but by then someone could have potentially been hit. So we definitely need a long-term solution, but I'm glad you're meeting with DPW and NOPD for a short-term solution, whether that's more traffic, officers there, something, because school is in full swing right now, and again, I've seen just at not even peak time, kids crossing, cars flying, so I could imagine when you open the doors, when you close the doors, during lunch hours, how many kids and faculty and staff cross that street. So it's now for public knowledge. No one can say they don't know. You meeting with DPW, meet with NOPD, so everyone's put on notice that this is a serious situation and need to move sooner than later. So we definitely appreciate your time here, and good luck with your meetings with DPW and NOPD.
Thank you, council members.
Thank you.
Up next, we're going to move to item number 6, demolition of DeGaulle Manor. So we're going to have code enforcement and CAO's office, if anyone's present, discuss it. And we do have a comment card from Mr. DuPont, and I see Mr. Burnside. No? You don't discuss West Bank matters, Mr. Burnside? It's true. They come back and it's not very. West Bank is not a sundown town, Mr. Burnside. All right. All right. We'll have Mr. Day. So basically, what we want to know is, one, there was some demolition happening. For those who may not be aware, DeGaulle Manor is a large piece of property on DeGaulle, a couple blocks off of General DeGaulle, Main Street in Algiers. It's been blighted, empty for quite some time. It was once a beautiful piece of artwork by B. Mike, Mr. Brandon Odoms. Since then, it has turned into a place where people dump, you name it, tires, cars, everything. Thanks to the city for staying on top of that. The dumping has slowed down tremendously, but the property still remains, and it is a huge economic opportunity for the city and for the district, for Algiers, and we really need to get this property demolished. There was some activity about a year ago, and it stopped, so if we could just do a bird's eye view, let the public know what caused everything to stop, what was done to get the wheels rolling once again, and where do we stand as of September 29th?
Okay.
Mr. Davis or Mr. Woods, whoever wants to go first.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman King, to Council President Morrell, Council Vice President Moreno, Councilman Green, and Councilwoman Harris. Thank you all for having us this morning. So if I could just briefly summarize where we left off late last year and what caused the stoppage was basically a change in scope of the work that the asbestos costs came in at a lot higher than what everyone had anticipated. Although it's the city's position that we firmly believe that asbestos was in the contract, there was a dispute with the new contractor in reference to that. So we acquiesced on some things and essentially agreed to have pay for additional asbestos abatement. And as of last Friday, we have sent the settlement agreement back to Robert Wolf Construction, who owns the new contract. And essentially, we just basically are asking them to abate all 12 buildings that's remaining. And at the same time, what that will get us is the demolition of 2.5 buildings. So it's important for us to get the work restarted, and that will get us to the end of the year. And while that work is in progress, the city will continue to look for funding to take care of the remaining 9.5 buildings that remain, hopefully to have them all eradicated before the end of 2026. So that's currently where we are now. We are hoping, we had a 1 October restart date. Again, everything is in their court now with their legal counsel. Hopefully we will hear back from them today, but we are ready to expedite that settlement agreement and get restarted to start the remaining, at least a portion of the remaining work at DeGaulle Manor.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wiltie, anything you want to add? So just, and I know this is not something that everyone's familiar with, but just to kind of put it in perspective, this is our Plaza Tower. Well, not said ours. This is the West Bank version of Plaza Towers. District C's version of Plaza Towers, or Six Flags, or the Boggs Hospital. So, although each district may have its huge blighted property, well, each district has its huge piece of blight. This is the West Bank, Algiers, huge piece of blight that's been there for quite some time, and it just needs to go.
Yes, sir.
5 minutes from CBD, 5 minutes from the French Quarter. It's on General de Gaulle, so it's, like I said, a huge opportunity for a developer. We have, again, a card from Mr. DuPont, followed by Mr. Burnside.
Lee DuPont, 12805 River Road, Algiers, Louisiana. I want to thank you for the update and the work that has been done so far. I think I speak for most of the people in Algiers, not officially, but in heart. Demolition of de Gaulle Manor must be completed as soon as possible. It has been the topic of multitudes of city meetings for many, many years, yet it still stands. This accelerates the illegal dumping in the area, makes the entire neighborhood feel blighted, removes this prime location from redevelopment for greatly needed housing. As Councilman King just pointed out, it's ideally suited. It's close to transportation, it's close to the bridge, it's close to grocery stores, it's in a decent neighborhood. It's ideal for redevelopment, yet it sits blighted and incomplete on the demolition. We, the residents of Algiers, feel, excuse me, we, the residents of Algiers, feel slighted that this demolition of the de Gaulle Manor has yet to be completed. It's just another example of Algiers, the West Bank of New Orleans, not receiving our fair share of city council resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DuPont. Mr. Burnside.
Like Corey Burnside, 2215. I'm not 100% sure 2 minutes is going to do this because there's two ideas, but one of them is pretty basic. Small bites are easier to chew than big ones. If we had knocked down one building a year, it'd be done by now. So rather than fund everything all at once, I understand it's more expensive. I understand it's inefficient, but the point is it'd be done. So rather than focusing on efficiency and getting stuff done all in one whack, plus you could chop it up and sell it in little pieces, right? So instead of having one giant piece of land that's only interested to big developers who come from out of state and have big money, you could chop the thing into like quarters or even 12s or whatever and sell it to local people. So we need to start thinking about smaller things. And there was a guy named Mo who used to be in charge of property something or another here in the city, and he wanted to break the plumbing contract. We had a plumbing contract for the whole city, and he wanted to break it into 5 small ones. We are a small city. We don't like to admit it because we have a huge history and we have huge heart. We're still a small city. We're less than 500,000 easily, okay? And we need to think about that economically. There was a second thing that was entering my mind when I came up here and that I thought was important, and unfortunately it's gone. So my point is only half made, but it's still made. Oh, I know what it is now. It was brought to my attention by my good friend, Councilperson Green. We are state citizens. We pay state income tax. The state can help us. Even if the state chose to only demo 2 of those buildings, we would have twice as many demoed at the end of this year. It is not always necessary to go to the state with an ask that harms our chances of success. We go to them and we say, we need a little bit of help us. We're state people, we pay income tax. Officially, we're all part of one big happy family, help us out. So even if they can only do 2 buildings, and God help us all, you know, Troy Carter got us a swimming pool, maybe he could come for knocking down 1 building, and boom, we're almost halfway there, right?
Thank you, Mr. Burnside. I just want to add that this property borders a nursery. So you have kids who have to see this every day, and there's another nursery a couple blocks away, maybe a 2-minute walk. So this is very important. Mr. DuPont, I think you were spot on. The people of Algiers do feel like this has been up there way too long, and it's time for it to go. But there's been a lot of legal issues that the CAO's office, that the city attorney's office, that code enforcement had to fight through for a long time. That finally got out the way, and another one popped up mid-demo. So you feel confident, I see everyone shaking their head, that this is going to start. Any idea of a potential start date to resume demolition?
If I may, in this, Austin Wiltie, WCAO of OBES. So in the settlement agreement, we added a term saying that they would begin 48 hours from the execution of the settlement. So hopefully we can get that across the finish line today or tomorrow, and then they would begin 48 hours after that.
So I don't want to hold you to 48 hours, but this week we should have some activity.
That's what's in the agreement. They did not come back with the red line of that portion yet. If they do, I will be sure to let you know. If I may add one
Yes.
other point, we did have a promising talk with the state, Kenneth Como at State Treasury, about the Act 170 CEA, which was for the 2 waste drop-off centers for $1.1 million, and trying to amend that CEA so that we can use that $1.1 million in 2026 for DeGaulle Manor.
Thank you. There you go, Mr. Burnside. Great minds think alike. We appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Wiltie.
Thanks.
So that concludes number 6. We're going to jump back to number 4. And
Mr. Chair,
I'm sorry,
I can't press a button because I'm not a member of the committee, but I did want to take an opportunity to commend you, Mr. Councilman, for your attention to this matter, and I want to give an example of how difficult that it is in praising the work of the Department of Code Enforcement. I think there have been over 150 demolitions in District D in the last 3+ years. Some of them presented great difficulties because of the recalcitrance of the owners, for example, who got orders in the middle of the demolition, for example, such as on Claiborne Avenue, to stop it. We have a property on Esplanade Avenue that the Department of Code Enforcement is concerned about because of its impact on citizens. There's a lawsuit that stops that. You've had issues with regards to what you find when you start a demolition, and those hold up matters too. It's important for the public to recognize that no one who is in government just wants these properties that are blighted and derelict to sit there. We don't just drive by them and just say, no, we're not going to do anything about them. But as you can see in the case of DeGaulle Manor, it's complex. As you saw in the case of the movie theater on Claiborne Avenue, it was complex. As you saw in the case of a property that was on St. Bernard Avenue in which people were living and it was about to fall in on them. It still took some time because we had to get those people out of it so that the property could be demolished. All that I want to say is that there are some things that in government you don't see. You don't see the restraining orders. You don't see the complexities relative to the products that are inside the property. You don't see sometimes the opposition that might be from one or two people that tie things up in court. But once again, I want to go back to where I started. Councilman King, when this is finished, it will go on the record as you being so concerned with this property that you never stopped bringing code enforcement before this committee and before the council, and that you never stopped with the efforts to get this blighted property torn down. And I commend code enforcement and the city attorney's office. It's a challenge sometimes when people drive through the city and see blighted properties, but we don't drive by as government officials and say that we aren't going to do anything about it. It's complex, but work is getting done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Councilmember Green. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay.
Next, we're going to go to item number 4 and discuss street repairs. The agenda says French Quarter and Algiers, but definitely going to open it up for District D, C, or any other communities with any interest in street repairs. So, Mr. Hathaway, we also asked for Sewage and Water Board to have a representative, but we will only have Mr. Hathaway, but I'm sure he's more than up to the challenge of speaking for Sewage and Water Board.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Hathaway. So quickly, if you can give us an update, there's a lot of street repairs happening in the French Quarter, Royal Street, all around. A lot of businesses are asking, hey, why is it right now? How long would it take? Because we're ready to open our doors, but we can't open them because we open our doors to a mesh fence. So just give us an update on the street repairs in the French Quarter first, please.
The French Quarter work is being completed by the Sewage and Water Board. It's part of their transmission main project, number 10. And the work that includes the work on Decatur, St. Peter, and a couple of other streets. I think that Delta Utilities has been in there for quite a while doing the gas line replacement to get out of the way of the water transmission line, and then the Sewage and Water Board will be entering that area. Either they've just started on Decatur or they'll be coming to Decatur soon.
And I said Roy, I meant to say Decatur, the running stand where I got that confused. So any specific DPW updates as it relates to French Quarter street repairs?
Nothing of any substance. We are working with the French Quarter Management District to get some of that striping done, and also working with them for the yield signs on North Rampart and Peters. All of that work has been completed, and we're presently working in Exchange Alley behind the Montleon Hotel.
Okay. We do have a comment card from Mr. Dupont concerning the streets. Oh, it was the Gall man. I do apologize. Can you give us an update on Tullis? I mean, that's an Algiers specific street, but it's often asked about. So I know you often give us updates, and you give us the most recent update on Tullis.
Tullis is a substantial amount of work is required to rehabilitate that roadway, and it is proposed in the 2025 bond proposition.
All right. I see Mr. Burnside and Mr. Duke. Well, you can come ask your questions first and just fill out a comment card once you've done. Any comments from the dais on streets?
Quick question about the Tullis. Are we going to demolish Tullis at the same time we have no Hibbins Bridge? Ought to be quite interesting.
For Tullis Drive, it's a one-lane roadway, and it will always have one lane in each direction open during construction.
Okay, so construction will be going on Tullis at the same time we tore out the Hibbins Bridge?
The Holiday Drive Bridge, the Hibbins Bridge, is scheduled for demolition in order to allow the Sewage and Water Board and the Corps of Engineers to continue the canal construction through that area. We can't control that schedule. We're trying to work around that. There will be some overlap, most likely, yes.
Okay, that was my concern. When you live down there, that's a major juncture, and Tullis is the only way around that intersection to cross the canal in that area. So, okay, just so we can let everybody know. Appreciate it.
While Mr. Burnside's coming up, I know it's more of a Sewage and Water Board issue in the quarter, but is there any idea of a timeline?
I think it's supposed to be, or was supposed to be completed before Mardi Gras, but I think with the delays of the gas line relocation, there may be some overlap with Mardi Gras.
Okay. I know it goes without saying, but you can expect, you could imagine the difficulties of same season, enough NBA, Sugar Bowl, everything happening, and the street repairs happening at the same time, how much that would affect the businesses and residents in that area.
Yes, I do agree.
Okay, so there's no way around that.
The Sewage and Water Board doesn't require a permit from the Department of Public Works in order to do their work. So unless the board itself cancels that or postpones it, we have no control over it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that information, Mr. Burnside.
I would appreciate the, Michael Eric Burnside, 2215 Felicity. I would appreciate sort of a generosity on the part of the council person in charge, because I want to talk about a traffic light, not an actual street, which I realize is not germane, but it's nonetheless important to me, and I'm rather self-centered. So there's a traffic light, of course, and it's, as everybody knows by now, at Felicity and Magnolia, and I've been talking about it since 2018, and since the poor director is here in person, I thought he might be generous and discuss with us sort of the projected future for that particular traffic light at the corner of Felicity and Magnolia. And if he has any questions, perhaps my council person will help jog his memory. Thank you very much.
Mr. Hathaway?
The traffic study for Felicity and Magnolia was completed. It determined that a traffic signal was not needed at that location. We were not able at the time to remove the traffic signal. That's why we put it on the red flash, so that it would work as an all-way stop sign. That's what's happening right now. We've added that to the 2025 concrete improvements right-of-way contract. The traffic signal will be removed. Stop signs will be installed. That's Magnolia is a one-way there, so it would, in essence, become a three-way stop. And there will be some geometric improvements to eliminate Terpsichore Street from the intersection and force it into Felicity at an earlier position. All of that work is on the list. It will be done in the coming weeks. The contractor is doing concrete work on, previously on Johnny Jackson, then moved to Canal Boulevard, and they will be coming up to Felicity and Magnolia right after that.
Councilman Harris.
Mr. Burnside, you and I will have a glass of champagne if this actually ever happens. And when it does, I owe you that glass of champagne. Rick, you're welcome to come as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Moreno, followed by Councilmember Green.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hathaway, for joining us. And thank you for continued dialogue you've had with me about the routine street maintenance piece. And you and I have discussed how in years past, and I'll read from an email that you sent me, that in years past there were 5 street maintenance crews per council district that included 2 pothole crews, 1 asphalt patching, 1 concrete curb sidewalk crew, and 1 grading and ditching. So 5 crews per council district is years past what it was. Where are we now? What does it look like now compared to how it was years ago?
We're about 1/10 because when I left in '94, we had over 200 people in the maintenance division that worked in the field. That created those 25 crews across the city. And now we're up to about 20 on any given day, which, depending on what the task is at hand, could result in possibly 2 crews, maybe up to 3 crews going out on the streets.
And then to really boost this up personnel-wise, do you think that you would be able to get this done if we, maybe stopped outsourcing so much and tried to bring this back in-house? Do you think it's a better approach to bring this back in-house?
I think that contracting and in-house work hand in hand. I do believe that it's extremely important that the department has in-house capabilities, not only just fixing potholes, but doing substantial patching, doing concrete work. Maybe we're not going to replace Tullis Drive, but we can certainly do panels here and there, sidewalk work, curb work, handicap ramps where they're needed. There's no reason why we can't do that. Along with the ditching, surprisingly, about 30% of the streets in Orleans Parish, their drainage is still through roadside ditches, and we have to maintain those. So we need ditching crews as well.
Thank you.
Councilmember Green, followed by Councilmember Harris.
Oh, you want to go back to Councilmember Harris? Is it a follow-up?
Yeah, I mean, I can follow up. Rick, I will tell you that 2 weekends ago, I was running errands and hit a pothole and popped a tire, which is, luckily I have tire insurance, but many people don't. And many people, popping a tire is expensive, they can't afford it, and that's the difference between them maintaining their job, getting to childcare, et cetera, if they don't have a car. So I do think it's important to have those in-house capabilities where we know that there's an area that needs to be repaired and we can quickly repair it so that these things don't keep happening. I agree with Council Vice President Moreno that we have to at least have some in-house capability to continue on. We can't just rely on these contractors who, as we know, will take the most expensive, lucrative jobs and then keep moving on. We've seen this in the JIRR projects. So I do think going forward, it is important to make sure that we have that in-house capability.
Yeah, I agree.
I remember that there was a time that not everyone, that a lot of people said that government was so inefficient that we needed to privatize everything. Remember that privatization movement? there was a suggestion that if you just privatize everything, all of a sudden, all of our issues are going to be resolved. And many elected officials bought into that. But you can't do everything by the private sector sometimes. I mean, they're profit-driven, and that's the way the economy works. They have to earn a profit. But at the end of the day, accountability and responsibility is lost many times with regards to private sector firms versus in-house. So I do want to get a clarification on something, and I'm going to end with something very positive. But the people that I see from time to time on the back of the truck who get off and take the asphalt and put it into the pothole, are those city employees or contractor employees?
On the city-owned asphalt trucks, they're city employees.
Right, I just want to make sure so that we can increase the number of work crews by increasing the number of people who are employed by the city and work on those trucks, right?
Yes, correct.
So can you make an appeal right now to the public to, if someone is looking for work, because there are vacancies, right?
There are no funded vacancies.
Okay, there could be. If we want to get these things done, I want you to ask us. Now look, somebody's going to say from the media, oh my gosh, they're asking to spend more money. We'll find a way to work it out. People want to have potholes addressed. I'm encouraging you to come to this committee, our Public Works Committee, with a need that is clear and a determination of how many issues they'll be able to address, okay? Leave it to us to look for potential sources of funding, you know, very honestly. But I don't want there to be a continuation year after year of all of the potholes that exist because we say that we didn't have funded positions to fill them. Because the guys on the back of those trucks, I've seen them in action, and I think that they're doing, when they get out, an important job. There are just so many in a city that has subsidence problems and the like.
That's
okay?
correct.
So I'm asking you to come back to us as a council. I'll be even though I'm very, very motivated to make sure that we don't have a budget deficit, at the same time, there are some things that are clearly important to our residents, and that is one of them. Let's see what we can do to enhance the number of crews available to do that, okay?
Will do.
All right, so the second thing is, Councilmember King, I just want to close by saying to Mr. Hathaway, I appreciate the fact that when the public is asked, you've been available, you're attending a meeting on Saturday in Pontchartrain Park. I appreciate your willingness to do that. And also, I do appreciate the fact that I asked a few times and you heard the need and that Johnny Jackson Boulevard is being worked on. That cement roadway that was one of the worst in the city is being worked on. Residents see it, and the many people who use the multipurpose center and the students who attend Carver High School, for example, see that that work is going on. So that was kind of something that I know that you had a hand in, especially since I mentioned that it was about the worst street in the city. It's being done. The residents appreciate it. I want us to continue as a city to focus on the areas of the Ninth Ward and the Desire community that for historic reasons have been ignored relative to some infrastructure work. And let's understand the potential for not only future development there, but the potential for making people who feel justifiably that they've been ignored for a long time feel better about the circumstances. Johnny Jackson is the beginning, but then there's Metropolitan, there's Piety. I could go down the list of streets. Let's keep those in the forefront, okay?
Will do.
And thank you again. I'll see you Saturday.
Thank you, Councilman Green. Mr. Hathaway, thank you. It's a thankless job. You get blamed for a lot, whether it's your fault or not. Before we go, I have two quick questions. One is a yes or no. On the first one, can you give us an update on the St. Peter's construction in Treme behind the Masonic Temple?
Yeah, that contractor is working presently.
Okay.
They still have a few more weeks work. They're focusing right now on the North Villery part of it, adjacent to the fire station. There's some connections to the fire station that's taking place right now. And hopefully, I would say before Thanksgiving, we're out of there.
Okay. And what is save the city time and money if we focus more on in-house repairs and beefing up your staff and your budget instead of contracting work out throughout the city?
Could you repeat the question?
Will it save the city time and money? Would it be easier to make sure things could be done in-house rather than contracted out. But talking about the budget in the upcoming weeks, we'll be discussing it. Is it worth it to focus more on increasing your staff and your machinery, your infrastructure, rather than relying on contractors who can sometimes be a bit long with repairs, and that costs money and be wasting money. So,
Yes, I agree that it will be less costly to do the work in-house. The salaries of the Department of Public Works maintenance workers really need to be reviewed and increases considered. And we will ask for a market study on that in order to make us as competitive as working for the contractors, so we can get the highest quality employees that are available. I think that smaller projects can be done by the department. I don't think that. I know that previously the city had its own asphalt paver, and we were able to overlay streets just like contractors do. There's no reason that we can't do that again. It will take effort in all our support departments, purchasing, civil service, human resources. They all have to work with us to be able to fill those positions, and of course the CAO to create those positions. There will always be a need for the contractors. Contractors are very efficient when it comes to working in a defined area and a larger scope. This is something that the city should not undertake because it's just bigger than what can be handled. And that's where we reap the benefit of contracting. And they can get in, they put all their assets and resources on those jobs and then get out. But when we're called to the average work of the day, that's where the department can shine.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. So any other questions, comments, concerns? None?
I would just say if you could please make that market study request ASAP so that we can, start moving forward on making sure that we have the right pay scale to be able to get in as many workers as possible as we work collaboratively as a council along with you to figure out what needs to be the right budgeting so that we start moving away from trying to contract everything and finally start really building up a robust street maintenance program in-house.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hathaway. Make a motion. Second by Councilmember Harris. All in favor? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.